Yo, I think I have a Lesbehonest to open up with.
Well, let's do it.
God, I never come prepared.
Who needs to be prepared?
Well, I never come prepared with like what episode this is. But I feel
I
like,
don't know.
you know
I
what I'm
lost count at
thinking?
this.
Huh?
I've lost count.
I feel like once we get to 30, we can have like a mid-season break or something.
Yeah, or like we'll
I
throw a party.
yeah, yeah. So since you were doing the holiday thing and traveling, I was going to like maybe try to do a solo podcast while you were away just to keep the consistency.
Yeah,
And so I go back on and I don't even do it with video because I'm like I don't want to watch myself and judge myself. And I'm like, all right, here we go. I wrote out this whole thing of like points that I wanted to do, and I got like halfway through, and I'm like, I can't do it anymore. I can't do it solo anymore. It's just not. It's not the same. You know what I mean?
but how was your day? My day was fine. Good conversation. This is a great idea. Crickets. Okay, cool.
Right? I can't. Yeah, I couldn't do it. It was like after you don't go to the gym for a long time, and then you're like, all right, I'm gonna go to the. It's gonna be so great, and then you get to the gym and you're like, you
Like,
do one
this
like
sucks.
arm thing, and you're like, I gotta go. All right, insert the intro here. With this, it'll be. I'll cut this up. It'll be great. We are friends from Craigslist.
Woo! Ooh, that was fire! Yeah.
To take care of business. Welcome back to the podcast, episode Who Knows What. And thanks for listening. Continue to rate and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen. And of course, we're on we're on Craigslist. We're on Instagram. We're
You
on
should be.
TikTok. We should be on Craigslist.
We
That
should
would be
probably
great.
put this up there. Like it kind of makes sense.
Dude, it's, yeah. I mean,
We could start
now
a whole little section, person seeking podcast or something.
dude, you know what? I should sell the merch on Craigslist too.
Yep,
I don't know if
probably.
who knows? Maybe that would work out. I don't know.
Or we get sued from Craigslist for using their name, so I'm not really sure.
shoot. Do they have that little trademark?
Well, I don't know if like they might, but is Craigslist like we're not taking Craigslist? It's like in the name, like friends from Craigslist. It's a whole thing.
And maybe
You
in the
can't like
past
own
life.
a word.
Yo, I got a new job as we were discussing.
Yes.
And obviously a lot of the things that we discuss I can't keep in. So for the listeners, I got a really cool job, and it's doing something for Netflix. I think I'm allowed to say that. I don't know. They're not going to listen. Or if they do, cool.
Cool. Netflix, can you make us famous?
Right? Please.
Please.
Which to be honest with you, I am completely unqualified for, right? Like I haven't done any acting work, and God, like the last time I was acting, like we were living together, and I don't even know if I was really doing it regularly at the time. I think it was kind of just like here and there, like maybe a cool thing, or you know
Yeah.
what they would do all the time, what these people love to do, and of course I'm not like an A-list fucking person. I'm not even a D-list fucking person. I'm like an FZ list person. But they, as you know, they love to call you and be like, "Hey, we have you lined up for this," and then you never hear back again, right?
Sure.
That's every industry. But I just so happen to get this one. But where my Lesbehonest, I just wanted to kick it off with this because I think it applies to everybody.
Start strong.
Let's start strong. This Lesbehonest is when you get, let's say you get a call for a job, any job, from, working in something creative and cool, or like all the way opposite, right? Any
Yeah.
job. And you have an amazing interview, let's say, right? It goes really well. Let's say you had an amazing interview, and you even had a second interview and whatever. And then you follow up, thank you, as you always do. And then you just never hear back. Has that happened to you?
All the time. Yeah.
That happened to me sort of recently. It was more for like a creative role. and it went really, really well. And even just sent
It's like the
references.
ghosting of the business world.
I feel like a bad Tinder date,
Yeah. They're like, gave you a chance to meet you. They were like, all right, we'll let them go on a second date. And they didn't even make it to the third. Now, to me, if it's a date, you gotta at least give them a third date chance.
Yeah, and like you don't have to do anything. You could go back to just like, oh, I don't have with dates it's perfect because you could always just be like, hey, I don't have a lot of time. Let's just grab coffee. I got to run to work, or like I have this thing. In professional setting, I feel like it's harder, but it's also I feel like that's like the creative industry's like MO of like they don't have to be like, oh, sorry, we went with someone else just because there's
Interesting. I mean, in others, like the lawyers and that side, I think they at least tell you sorry so you're not waiting.
Right. Because I also feel like they run in like certain circles because like if you don't get hired, let's say at law firm A, but you get hired at law firm B, but B interacts with A often, so you don't want to have bad blood maybe.
Yeah, it's a small, but I think the same. I think the creative agency is a small world.
Dude, I agree. So that's also why just like I think it's kind of confusing and weird where like wouldn't you want to keep that like
you never know. You could be the next,
dude, that's
Gordon
like
Levitt.
that's like the greatest payoff of like all time, I think, in any profession of like someone that either like ignored you or thought you weren't worth anything.
What's interesting, I feel like everyone has one of those stories.
Yeah. And then you come back and you're like, remember when you thought I was nobody and look at me now.
Or they're like, oh, we want to be a part of your movie. And you're like, no.
Nah, sorry. Actually, you know what? You can, but you can be my like food runner. You just go pick up my lunch or pick up my dry cleaning.
I feel like the creative area is such a... I kind of think of it like California. So I lived in California for all of a hot second. And
you fancy.
The LA in particular, LA. And the reason I specify, because I don't want to like take that all of California with me, but there was a difference between LA and New York. And the big difference is LA, everyone would fake being nice to you. Everyone was so nice. The wait staff, random person on the street, people at the bar, everyone's going to come up and talk to you and be like, hey, how are you? Because they don't know who you might be, and they're always trying to get something for themselves.
Right.
And it's this like fake, like
facade.
It is. It's so fake because it's all about trying to get something for themselves. And that's the same in the creative agency. It's all about trying to like, oh, can't do anything for you. I don't owe you an apology or the time of day or a reason. What the second they figure out that you are not like a producer or whatever, nothing. Like you can't do anything for me. There's nothing there.
But then subsequently, you are supposed to act like professional all the time, right? Mm-hmm. So like, even like we've discussed this a bunch, and I've brought it up here and there of like, even if it's just like your buddy or something, you're just like, hey man, hope you're doing well, whatever, and like, oh, what can you do for me? Oh, you don't have a gig that I could get on? Well, I'm not even gonna reply to you. But I mean, I think that's just like the people as a whole. I mean, it's just someone you don't want to be around.
It's like you can't do something for me. I don't owe you anything. And it's like, why is that the attitude? Versus like New York, I feel like people will be straight up assholes to your face until you prove yourself. Once you prove yourself, you're in. Right. And it's like a little bit more based off merit, like based off your hustle and your skill versus California, which is like based off your title or what you may or may not be. Like, can you get me something? No, I don't need you. Even if they're like the hardest worker, the best whatever, like don't give them the chance if they're not 10,000 followers on TikToks and stuff like this. New York, it's like, I don't care about the numbers. Are you going to bust your ass? Prove it? Great, you're in.
Right. Yeah. What I find really interesting, and this isn't why you went to California, but a lot of people like or when I see people that are like actors or something, and they're like, I'm going to go to California to make it, right? But I mean, especially now after COVID and everything, or I guess we're still in COVID, but, post the craziness, being all digital, I feel like you don't need to like do that. I feel like if you can't make it in New York, what do you think is going to change from California? You're just going to...
I mean, they didn't write a song about California saying if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere.
Right.
They don't have one of those for California. So,
right. So I always remember when a buddy I used to work with, when I think it was like right out of college, I worked in a bakery, and he was an actor, and then he went to California to quote unquote make it. And, the majority of people don't, because it's very challenging. But I don't think you had to do that. I don't think you had to go there to quote unquote make it. I think you can. That's at least my opinion. I feel like you can land a bunch of jobs here.
Well, I mean, this is coming from a guy who is doing some acting now in New York. So something to say about it's everywhere. Yeah.
I mean, my idea of making it is let me get some dope ass gigs here and maybe get some gigs over there. I'll fly over there, and then when I have lots of money, I'll go buy a big ass house there and have someone drive me around.
That would be right. Now, would you live there forever, or would that just be like your second home?
I feel like that would, in an ideal world, that would be the second home. I'm just so bi-coastal.
Because with your private jet, they can get you from place to place, right?
Yeah, and I'll let you borrow it, and we can have
You're so good to me. You have ever that would bug me too, just courtesy. I mean, and again, it's similar in dating. I don't know how many people feel good about ghosting.
Right.
Might be the easier thing to do, but seems like the cowardly thing to do. Why not just be like,
what's the harm? Right.
That didn't work out. No thanks.
And you'd never, in dating, you never have to see the person again anyway, most likely.
Right. And even if I did, the odds you see them again would be the same if you ghost them. So which would you rather run into someone? After you ghosted them, or after you actually said no thanks?
I feel probably
the one where I said no thanks.
Yeah, the ghosting is way worse. At least
right, because then you have to come up with an excuse. Oh, I lost your number.
Right.
Or I moved and I lost your number.
Right.
Oh, I just
new phone. Who it is?
Who are you? I'm not this. I have a twin brother. Must be who you are talking about.
That's a my bad situation. Dude, yeah, I mean, and to the extent, and same thing professionally, what's the harm? Let's say you're interviewing for a marketing agency and they just never got back to you despite multiple follow-ups, and you're, what's the harm in saying, hey, sorry, we went with someone else?
I mean, that just puts a bad taste in, if there's ever a job that comes up again with the group that that you're trying to get a job with, I wouldn't apply. I feel like it was a perfect one. It says something about the character of you can't even take the time of day to follow up with someone that you not only interviewed, but twice. So you know that they were hooked in. Right. And they were slimmed down amount that all, 10 people who you double interviewed, you couldn't let know? Wasn't thousands.
But then you always, and I've been applying to things because I'm trying to, I don't know, stay in the field, because I also, we all get bored, right? And so, and who doesn't want more money? And so, but, I didn't apply for this acting gig, and I kind of just got called for it, which is super cool. Some things are meant to be, I guess. But I also just sent out the feelers for this other opportunity. Side note, there's new music that's coming out that I'm on. It's coming out on the 13th, which is Monday, which is the same day as this podcast. And I can't say it. I'll put it up on my Instagram when it comes out.
Right.
It's for someone else. It's a different artist I'm playing saxophone for, but everyone should check it out because it's pretty dope. And I'll tell you later about it, because if for some reason it doesn't come out on Monday, and I say the name and I get sued, that would really suck. So I don't. A lot of people that have like quote unquote made it or like are in that like spotlight, whenever you ask them real questions, they give you fake answers, right? So like if you say,
Look at this. Full circle back to the whole job thing.
right,
People in the industry are fake as shit.
right,
And
and you
then-
don't have to be like.
No.
If there's a kid like me that's like trying to get where you want to be and is like, hey man, what did you do? Like the coolest advice that I ever got, or not that I ever got. Some of the most recent, conversations with someone I had with someone of note, and I was like, hey, how did you get there? And like the realest shit. He's like, well, I could tell you how I got to where I am, but it's different for everyone. And how I got to where I am is not going to be how you get to where you are, because we come from different circumstances, and it's just different. Everyone's path's different.
The best and worst answers, because you're like,
Right.
cool, but like, how do I get there?
It was nice, but yeah, I feel like The Rock would just be like super straight up. He's like, dude, I was broke and I did this, and I got lucky because I'm like a monster and I was born a monster. I'm so happy that we came back. I've missed you. I missed doing this with you. I can't do it solo anymore, so we're gonna have to do this. We're gonna have to. I think I have an idea for the next episode, so everyone stay tuned.